Y Combinator? I mean, they've backed thousands of companies, creating giants we literally use every single day. So you gotta figure, when they decide to share their playbook, well, you listen. We're gonna dive into the core advice from their foundational lecture series, the stuff they teach every founder. And Sam Altman, YC's former president, really frames it perfectly here. He says, I really do think that startups are the way of the future, and it's worth trying to understand them. And he's right. I mean, startups aren't just some trend. They're a fundamental shift in how our future is being built. But the thing is, beyond all the headlines and the crazy valuations, YC teaches a very specific and honestly often pretty counterintuitive path to actually succeeding. So let's cut through all the hype for a second. What does it really take to build a great startup? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not just about a cool app or snagging a great domain name. According to YC, it really just boils down to three critical parts: the why, the what, and the how. All right, let's dive into the first and, you could argue, the most important one, the why. This is all about the real reason you're even starting this thing. Before you write a single line of code, before you even register a domain, you have to ask yourself, what is my real motivation here? Okay, so first things first, we have to talk about the myth versus the reality of being a founder. You know the myth, right? It's glamorous, you're the boss, you have all this flexibility. But the reality, as Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz lays out, it's just not that. It's stressful, hard work. You're not just the boss, you are responsible for everyone. And flexibility? Nope, you're basically always on call. And this is something you hear from pretty much every single founder. They all say it was so much harder and way more painful than they ever could have possibly imagined. You have to understand, this isn't just a job. It's an all-consuming challenge that is going to test every single part of you. And this right here brings us to the absolute core of the why. Sam Altman's point is clear. The passion for the problem has to come first, and the startup comes second. You don't start a company because you want to, do a startup. That's totally backwards. The right way is to be so obsessed with solving a specific problem that building a company becomes the only logical, inevitable way to get it done. So here's the bottom line. The only good reason to start is this feeling, this compulsion that you just can't not do it. It's that feeling deep down in your gut that this thing has to exist in the world and you're the one who has to build it. Because honestly, that's the only force strong enough to drag you through all the pain that's definitely coming. Okay, so let's say you've got the why figured out. You have that compulsion, awesome. But now, what do you actually build? That brings us to our second part, the what. We're gonna talk about the anatomy of a great idea. Now, there's this modern myth out there. You hear it all the time, especially in Silicon Valley. Ideas don't matter, just start, right? The whole execution is everything mantra. Just launch something, pivot if you have to, you'll figure it out along the way. But that's a really dangerous oversimplification. Yeah, Sam Altman puts it pretty bluntly. He says, great execution towards a terrible idea will get you nowhere. And it makes perfect sense, right? If your idea is just fundamentally bad, the best execution in the world isn't going to save you. You're just sprinting really, really fast in the completely wrong direction. That initial kernel of an idea you start with, it is massively important. But, and this is the big twist, the best ideas, the ones that really change the game, they almost always look like terrible ideas at the beginning. I mean, think about it. If an idea sounded obviously good to everyone, some big company with way more resources would already be doing it. I mean, just think about some of the biggest companies we know today. Google, that was like the 13th search engine. Facebook, the 10th social network. And it was just for college kids. And Airbnb, a way to stay on a stranger's couch? Come on. These ideas sounded objectively bad, if not downright crazy, to most people and most investors. And that's exactly why they worked. It gave them the space to grow without anyone bothering them. So that's the sweet spot you're looking for. You want an idea that sounds a little crazy, but you are actually right. You have some unique insight, some secret about the world that everybody else is missing. That contrarian, unpopular but correct view is where all the massive value gets created. Okay, but how do you know if your crazy-sounding idea is actually right? How do you test it? Well, you ask the single most important question for any startup, a question made famous by the legendary venture firm Sequoia. And that question is simply, why now? What has fundamentally changed in the world that makes your idea possible right now? And a really great answer to the why now question usually has two parts. First, you've got to be able to explain why this couldn't have been done 2 years ago. What's changed? Was it a tech shift, a cultural shift, a new regulation? Something new has to have unlocked this opportunity. And then, second, you need to explain why it'll be too late to do it in 2 years. That creates the urgency, that sense that this is a fleeting window of opportunity. All right, so you've got your why, that deep compulsion. You've got your what, that contrarian idea. Now for the how. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's about turning that idea into a real, tangible product that people don't just use, but absolutely, truly adore. And I want to be super clear about the goal here. We're not talking about users' satisfaction. We're not talking about getting a bunch of likes. The goal is love, product love. That's the state where your users feel this deep, loyal connection to what you've built. They become your biggest advocates, your evangelists, telling everyone they know about you because your product has genuinely made their life better. And this is one of the most critical, maybe the most critical lessons from YC. Look at this comparison. It is so much better to have a small group of users who absolutely love your product than it is to have a large group of users who just kind of like it. That lukewarm like feeling, that's indifference. And indifference is an absolute startup killer. And the reason for that, as Sam Altman explains, is that love is expandable. If a small number of people love your product, you can figure out why they love it. What makes it so special to them? And then you can go find more people just like them. But it's almost impossible to turn a lot of people who just like something into people who love it. You've got to start with that intense, passionate core of fans. So how do you actually get to that state of product love? Well, the playbook is pretty straightforward, though I should say it's not easy. Step 1, start with something incredibly simple. Solve one core problem and solve it perfectly. Step 2, be absolutely fanatical about the details and the quality. That magical user experience is what turns like into love. Step 3, forget about ads. Go recruit your first users manually, one by one. This builds deep empathy. And finally, step 4, create a super tight feedback loop. Talk to your users constantly, build what they tell you they need, and then just repeat. And there you have it. That's the YC playbook in a nutshell. Look, it's not some magic formula, but it is a really powerful framework. You start with a compulsion, that's your why. You find a contrarian idea, that's your what. And you build a product that a few users love, and that's your how. So in the end, after all this, the final question isn't really about markets or technology or any of that. It's really about you. What problem out there drives you so crazy that you feel this deep personal need to fix it? A need that's so strong you feel like you just can't not do it. Because that feeling right there, that's where a great startup truly begins.